All right. Hey, Matt.
Hey, such a cool intro. I love it.
Yeah, it's cool. We need to get some original music. But
Is that
other than
just like
that,
stock music we found?
yeah, it was like
Love
Tim
it.
had finished it and he was like, "Oh, does this say music?" It's like 15 minutes before the stream. I
I
was like,
mean, if
"Yeah,
only we had some musicians on the team who could like
I
play
know,
instruments,
right?
right?
Yeah, ridiculous. I guess they don't. They're more like analog musicians, you
Yeah.
know. I don't know if they have the full setup. Anyway, how was your morning?
Oh my
Why are we
gosh. So
why are
we
we
moved
late?
into this new house like 2 weeks ago now, not even like probably like 11 days ago.
Hence the clouds.
Yeah. So I'm in this used to be a kid's playroom, my new office. So until we get it painted, I have clouds on the wall and those like glow in the dark stars on the ceiling above me.
Nice.
And a bunch of there's like planets painted that way, so there's like a solar system on the ceiling. It's
That's
nice. It
awesome.
feels like I'm outside.
That's so
Uh,
cool.
but yeah, so our internet has just like it was going out like once a day, pretty much
Mhm.
not every day, but like every other day. It's probably gone out like 4 or 5 days since we've been here, and just like you unplug the modem and it fixes itself and it's fine. And then today it went out like once overnight. I got like an alert on my phone that like our Ring thing disconnected. And like
Mhm.
5 minutes later, at like 1 a.m., it reconnected. And then it's gone out like it went out 4 times between like 9 and 10 a.m. So like
Oof.
it just goes out and like you can unplug the modem and it fixes itself, or like it just comes back 5 to 10 minutes later on its own.
Yeah,
And I spent like 40 minutes on
that
support with
sucks.
Xfinity trying to figure out what's going on. So long story short, it might be a defective modem. That's the solution
Got
here.
it.
They're like, you might just need to drive to the store and give them your modem and get a new one.
That's so annoying.
So yeah,
Got it.
if I drop off in the middle here unexpectedly, you'll know why.
Cool. All right, makes sense. Good stuff. So yeah, this morning we realized, not this morning, sorry, yesterday we realized that the React Router website and the Remix website are like not fully up to date on all our latest changes, which is kind of a problem because we should be dogfooding this stuff. So we're gonna update everything. And since
we
you
are
might,
we are on the remix site, right? We're like
we're pretty up to date. I think there's
dog
actually there might be a few. I'll pull up the code in a second, but yeah, no, we don't. We actually don't have any of the V3 flags turned on, which is very much a shame. It's not going
Right.
to make a huge difference, but it's still just good.
We're
But yeah,
dog fooding the unstable single fetch and not
yes,
the stable
yeah,
single
yeah,
flex.
yeah. None of the stable stuff is turned on. It's all the unstable stuff. But yeah, single fetch and fog of war are both on. You're right. That's correct.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into it, I guess. Yep, screen one. Cool. All right. So yeah, so we got React Router and Remix pulled up. So I don't know if we want to like wrap up anything with Remix or review anything, or if we should just jump into the React Router one. I don't know. Thoughts,
Why
opinions?
don't let's make sure that single fetch is up to date. So
Okay.
we ship single fetch unstable maybe like a month or even maybe 2 months ago or so now.
Yeah.
Um, and we had this whole response stub concept, right? We were sort of
Yes.
looking ahead to what a middleware landscape would look like, and we
Yeah.
were, essentially, we thought that eventually middleware would need this kind of response stub so that like different middlewares on the way down could change the response status codes and headers, and then middlewares on the way up could change it. And we thought we needed this like mutable response going through.
Yeah.
Um, and so we decided when we did single fetch, which is one of the things that's unlocking middleware, we introduced this API, added it in single fetch, and it was a bit more invasive of a change. So you had to change, like if you had a JSON response and were setting status and headers, it would work. But for V7, you were going to have to change it. So some folks who were adopting this early and helping us test it would go through, remove JSON, use this response stub, and then Michael and Ryan realized on one of their road stream or roadmap plannings that
Yeah.
we're not actually going to need the response stub in middleware. We're going to be able to just use raw responses on the way back up. So that's great because now we don't need to introduce a new API. We can just use the standard web fetch responses. But we still needed a way to like set statuses and headers from loaders and actions.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to remove the response stub API in the most recent 2.11, I think it was. So
Yep.
Remix may be, or the Remix site may be using response stub. I want to see where we're at there because I know we adopted single fetch pretty early there. So if we've used it, we need to back that out in order to go to 2.11.
Cool. And I assume everything will break if we are using it, so it'll be pretty easy to tell, right?
Yes. Yeah, because it just won't be a parameter to loaders and actions anymore.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's just update everything. What's your, I always forget, is it just remix upgrade?
Upgrade dash remix.
Oh yeah, it's a,
yeah.
All right, let's try this one. Oops, sorry, close the wrong thing. I don't think we're using it, but we might be.
That's better if we're not.
Yeah.
It's nice, right? This whole, like, this little path we went down, what we landed at is going to be easier to adopt.
Yeah,
I'm
very happy we're doing that because I did try to update like the remix site with like, let me find like an example. I think it was like the blog. Yeah, like going through this thing. It's not that crazy complicated. But like, okay, I was like removing the JSON and then I wanted to like return, the post and then set the response. So you do like response dot, like headers or whatever, and you'd like, however it was set.
Yeah.
And then you have to do the whole like define loader, which I know is like, we're still kind of figuring out this API.
Yeah, that I think that's where we can skip that. We're going to have an even better type story there.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, there's been like both those things. I'm glad we've kind of reworked because like doing both of them together was like, oh, this is a lot of change for like exact same behavior. It feels like it is different, but yeah. Anyway, so okay, cool. So everything looks like it's good. Yeah, everything remixy should be on 2.11.2. Cool. Yep. All right.
So if you want to maybe just search for like response dot in the code base here.
All right.
Okay, you're good. Those are all, none of those are response stub.
Beautiful. All right. So we should be in good shape. Let's run this. We got Pedro and Shane watching so far. So hey guys, thanks for joining.
So I've never used this Restream. Can we chat in there? I see you can type.
Yeah, it's super easy. You could be, I don't know, can you chat? What does it say for you?
I have a private chat where I think it says I can send messages to you.
You can send messages to me, but yeah,
I don't know if I can send them
chat with the main one. Okay.
Host or something.
I wonder if I have to like, I wonder if I can
just like, you don't have to figure that out. I was just curious.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I'm very easily distracted.
Just distract us right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's good. So yeah, Restream has made life a lot easier because I'm not interested in being like a streamer, but I would like us to have the ability to have like decent enough streams.
Yeah.
Okay. So this works. That's good.
Looks all good. Yeah.
That. We can change that.
Are you getting, just peek at the network tab, make sure you're getting single fetch requests too.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let me give this a little refresh. Clear everything. I'll go to the docs.
Yeah, cool. That data.
Yep, this one. Okay. We'll go to the blog, which is like a bunch of blog.data. That's good. Resources. Okay. Everything's looking pretty good. Which is good. Cool. Okay, so remind me, I should know this. So the headers export, like we've gone back on.
Yep.
That is the source of truth for
your
cache.
Yeah. So in Remix pre-single fetch, right? A pre-single fetch world, we had this like divergence of how to handle headers. And on loaders and actions, when they're not single fetch, when every loader and every action gets its own HTTP request, they can just return responses. So you see your return JSON, that headers goes directly through. JSON is just a wrapper around new response. So we're creating a fetch response. You can set the headers and we don't have to do anything else. We just send that response back directly. There's no concept of like, how do I merge these headers with the headers of my parent loader? Because those are two separate responses. Document requests are essentially single fetch. A document request is a single request coming in. It calls a whole bunch of loaders, and then it has to somehow take those responses and generate a single response. So we need a way to merge headers, which is what the headers function does. And it currently, without this flag, only runs on document requests.
Okay, got
But
it.
what we're doing with single fetch is we're really just aligning with the behavior we've always had for document requests, and we're getting rid of this need to think about the different way headers are handled. So a common mistake we see in a lot of Remix apps today is that they won't add a headers function. So they'll return some headers in their loader, and then let's say they're on like the blog page loader. They'll load up the homepage. They'll click through to the blog and do a client-side navigation. You go into the network tab and you can see, oh, cool, my headers are there. I don't have to do anything. If you then like hard refresh and do a document request to that blog page, those headers aren't going to show up without this function. And a lot of folks, rightfully so, like they don't realize that they miss that little nuance that you have to.
I missed it
differently, right? Which is annoying. Like that's a big foot gun. So what we're doing now is aligning data requests are going to behave just like document requests. And if you don't put that headers function in there, you're not going to see headers from the loader. Like you have to tell us the right way to merge them with any headers that came from parent routes.
That's cool. Okay, so I guess it doesn't look the exact same, but I can just like, so in this case, I could just move this down, right?
You can, yes, if it's a static header and it's not driven by your loader data, then this is probably the way that I think we'd recommend it if it's not tied to data. Is just statically do it in the headers function.
Yeah.
But if you want to cache differently,
is it like this guy? Or
it's a fetch headers instance.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Or what you can do. So that's like in this case, because it's just a constant, right? You want this route to always have that cache control. What we should also show is let's say that was dependent on your data. Yeah. Right. So right now you're using the JSON helper, and that's internally serializing into a response. And that's fine because your data here is just primitive. So site URL, I'm assuming, is a string, and post is probably just an object with some strings and maybe integers in it. If you're using single fetch and streaming, you can't use JSON anymore, right? And you would have used defer previously, but with single fetch, defer and JSON are both going to eventually get deprecated. We won't need them in the future because you can just return data. So that's the kicker in that was just released in 2.11, is that there's now a drop-in replacement, currently called unstable data for lack of a better name. But that is essentially the way to say, return this data, but I need to like tack on a response in it. I need to tack on a status and some headers. Because this is not a response anymore, we need some abstraction there to say like return this. So that would be the way to do it if you do have custom headers.
That makes sense. I'm wondering like what happens in the 404? Okay, we just throw a new response. So does this bypass, like, let's get these side by side. So in this case, when this response is thrown, is this header still called? Do we still have like an issue where it's like this is going to override it, or we?
So if you throw, there's a parameter to the headers function called error headers. That would have any thrown responses.
Got it. So technically we do actually have differing headers. So what we had was actually probably how we want it to be anyway. Because
okay. So if you have an error, you wouldn't want to cache it. So that's a good point.
So okay, that's good to know. There's still some nuance, which is true just because there's nuance between how you cache headers based on your data. But I do like that it's like the headers is this source of truth for both document request and
usually there's going to be like not really a hierarchy, but I think the standard implementation that we'll see for headers is often going to be something like, because there's a couple parameters to that function. I think it's action headers, loader headers, error headers, and parent headers. There's 4 things that come in there. So normally, like, you'll probably always want to merge in whatever the parent headers were. Right? You'll want to merge them together. Sometimes you might want to override, but that would be kind of app specific. But then it's, this call is either going to be for a loader or an action. So you're going to want to say like, okay, if there's action headers, merge them with the parent. Okay, if there's no action headers, look for loader headers, merge them with the parent. And then you probably want error headers superseding all that. So I think there's generally going to be like a pretty common hierarchy of like, use error headers. If they don't exist, try to use action headers. If they don't exist, try to use loader headers. And in all cases, proxy along whatever parent headers we need.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Got it. Yeah, I could see like having kind of a util for that. That would be
Yeah, I
helpful. I
think
don't know if it.
there's probably a good like remix utils API
Yeah.
service here of like merge headers or something.
Yep.
I feel like that's
That's it.
something that most apps end up writing on their own, and they're probably like 80% of the time trying to do the exact same logic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Because we don't merge, I don't think, with and unenable these with like the parent headers, but we also try to only have headers on the leaves in this app because
Yeah,
of these reasons, because it's just easier to think about, at
it
least for me.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
So
If you just take away merging and just put it on the leaf routes.
yeah, kind of the whole thing with like the not links meta. It was kind of the same thing of just like the whole meta merging that we used to do.
Hmm.
Like actually creates a lot of complexity, and so now it's
Yeah,
just like
nested
easy stuff
nested
down
routes
here.
are powerful, and they add this new concept to think about, right?
Yep, exactly. Shane asked what flags did we enable? Sorry about that, Shane. We technically haven't enabled anything, but we're just making sure single fetch works. However, also noticing we're getting a red squiggly here.
Hmm.
Wait, actually, I did want to point out one thing really fast. So the unstable data, there is like, good thing Pedro's on here, so you can see it. He knows this, but yeah, there is like, it doesn't totally work in every case because blog posts like in this situation is not serializable. I think we're fixing this with like Turbo Stream. It's just gonna like, no, maybe it's not that. I don't know. It's basically this thing with like
Is it a Prisma?
interfaces
Oh,
in
yeah, okay.
in types. Yeah, so Prisma
Yep.
suffers from this, but like interfaces can't be like, don't work basically. So
Hmm.
this guy, wherever he is, yeah, as an interface. I'm pretty sure if I just change it to a type, like change all these to types, everything will work,
All the way up. Okay.
which is super annoying. But it's like it's not really our fault. It's a TypeScript thing, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
There's some big thing. Yeah, so
Yeah,
now it
that
works.
fixes it. Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
do. I did hear that that's going to go away, right?
yeah. So anyway, so more reason for me not to make a bunch of changes
Yeah.
because single fetch works as it is. It's just this is more the type story getting us
Yeah.
fully there. So okay,
Cool.
cool. All right, so let's change. Yeah, so fog of war, we changed the name. Why do
So
we
real
change the
quick, just
name?
before we move on, just to kind of sum
Sure.
up for Shane and anyone else here, like if you're adopting single fetch today, so if you did not adopt previously and you didn't go down the response stub route, if you're adopting today, the goal is that if you've already got headers functions for your document requests,
Mm-hmm.
you should just be able to enable the flag and do nothing else.
Yep.
So you in V2 with the flag, you can still return JSON, you can still return defer. Your headers functions apply to now both document and data requests. So the goal from our end, just to make this easy to adopt, is that you just turn on the flag and that's it. And then eventually we'll add some deprecation warnings to JSON
Yep.
and defer. And we'll say like, hey, these are going away in Remix React Router v7. So you can replace these with unstable data, which at that point hopefully will have
Will
stabilized
work.
and you'll
Yeah.
have figured out
And
the
be
type
stable.
issues. Or in probably more frequently, you won't even need unstable data because that's like you can just return raw objects in single fetch, and they can have promises in them, and they can have maps and sets and everything else that TurboStream supports. So you would only need this unstable data if you need to set custom headers or a custom status code.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Okay.
That is going to be nice. So right now, yeah, it just gets stripped out. Oh, wait, no, I'm in the wrong place. Oh, no, it actually turns it into an object. That makes sense.
Yeah,
It's JSON
with JSON
serializing it. Okay, cool.
stringifying.
So, or stringifying it. Yeah, sorry. Okay, cool. Yep. Good deal. Yeah, just turn this on. That's just start there. You don't need to make all the changes all at once. Okay. So Fog of War, we renamed to Lazy Route Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do that?
Sorry. Yeah, Shane, dates are supported with TurboStream.
Oh, yes. Yeah, sorry. Thanks for actually looking.
So yeah, we renamed it just because like Fog of War is such a cool name. I think we sort of fell in love with the like marketing aspect of it because it's like, I don't know, it's the video games we all grew up playing. But yeah, we definitely got some feedback that like if you didn't read the blog post that explained where we got the name Fog of War, or we even heard more too from like English is not your primary language. It was a little like, wait, what? what flag am I turning on? Why am I enabling war in my application?
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Actually,
decided
this might
to.
go terrible. To like, I think Japanese maybe was one of them. And then, how do I flip it? Nah, I don't know. Might not be the best, but yeah.
Some of them, lost in translation.
Yep.
But yeah, so we went. It's still the branding fog of war. I think is still quite often how we're going to refer to it. But semantically, it's lazy route discovery. We are like lazily deciding
Yep.
to go get routes from the server and build up that route tree as we navigate around.
Yeah, exactly. And the reality is, unfortunately, not everyone reads a blog post, which is fine. Like, lots of people are using this and being like, oh, what's this feature I can use? Unstable fog of war. What the hell? Like, you shouldn't be asking questions. Like, I don't know. Like, if your name can describe what it is, that's probably a better name. So.
I've written a lot of code that scares me before, but like the flag names shouldn't scare you, right?
Exactly.
I've written some real scary code.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay, so fog of war, basically, what's the best way to test it? Just to do the remix manifest to make sure it's not
so
huge.
prior to this flag, we would the manifest.routes field there, which is that's what we build the internal routing tree from.
Yep.
Prior to this, that would have every route in your entire application, which
Mhm.
most of the time is fine, right? It's a pretty repetitive structure, right? It's all the routes, and each route has like a path and doesn't have a loader, doesn't have an action, so it gzips down really well. But we started to see that if you have an app that has hundreds or thousands of routes, you're loading a pretty big.
Yep. I mean, it's like this is a great example because we
Where'd
have
you
these
get
really
that?
old. So I just turned it off, but
Oh, cool.
on our site because we have these conf pages.
I was like on prod. I thought we had it turned on.
No, yeah, unfortunately, we're on. Yeah.
So we send the entire route tree up, which, like I said, most of the time it's not actually a perf hit.
Right.
And, even on this site, maybe we have 40 routes or something on there. Like that's not causing your site to really struggle to load or anything like that. But when you get to hundreds and thousands of routes, we saw this on Shopify.com. They had because they localize too, they have like different routes for each locale. They had, I don't even remember the number, but it was like thousands of routes. And their manifest was getting to be some like huge size on page load.
Yeah.
So when you turn on fog of war, which I believe we have shipped on here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, look at that. 3 routes down from like 1,300 or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we got it set up.
So we'll ship up just the routes that you initially render, and then as you're navigating around, we're just adding to that tree and sort of growing what the router knows about as you navigate.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yep. So yeah, if I like go to a blog and then, oh well, that's fine. Maybe. Is that a problem? No route matched.
Oh, so that's actually fine. Because what that means is that wasn't prefetched yet.
Okay,
right?
that's
so it's initially going to be like, oh, like I want to, if we have like prefetch intent on a link or prefetch render or something like that, it's going to say like, oh, let me go try to match this route and I'll go fetch the loader data for it. But initially that route doesn't exist and we have to wait for that like route discovery step to happen.
Got it.
Once it gets discovered, then the prefetching stuff worked because now we know about the route.
Was this just essentially me clicking too fast basically for remix? Like he was trying to do, or
it might have been.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to see if I forget if that's like a dev only warning or not.
Ooh, I hope so. Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily want that getting littered through the console.
I wonder
navigating around.
If I can repeat that pretty easily. Let's see. Nah.
Do a hard refresh from wherever you were.
Yeah, I was on resources. Let me actually. Whoops. Come on, buddy. Let me right click this thing. There we go. Should I also like slow down performance? Would that help?
Yeah.
Go to the slow 4G. All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's a pretty easy way to do it. So then,
cool. So you go there.
I go here, and then I go to resources, and then you also, that's slow. Do a hard refresh. Now there's a little bit more caching, obviously, but I think it will still be the same problem.
And that shows up once you navigate to blog, right?
Once I navigate and click this fog of war thing. Yeah, okay, cool. It doesn't show up. Sweet. Good deal. Yeah, so that's just a dev warning. Which makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it's just
Okay.
like, oh, things were just, you were just going too fast. I didn't have time to actually complete that prefetch.
Yeah, because I think that's what, if it's prefetch intent, it's going to try to prefetch the minute you hover. And if you hover, so what we do, the way this is all in the blog post, but essentially we Remix pre-V1, I think, actually shipped in this type of like fog of war manner, where like we didn't send the entire thing up to the client. And every time you clicked a link, we first went to the server and said, do you know about this path? Or do I have a route that matches? And then we would patch it into the client side router. And then we would turn around and go back to the server to call the loaders. So like every single link click had a network waterfall to first go to the server to try to match the route and then go back to the server to call the loaders. And that obviously we hate network waterfalls. So by sending the whole manifest up front, we can make sure that when you click a link, there's no waterfall. It just calls the loaders and loads the chunk in parallel. That then obviously has like the longer downside of a huge manifest initially. So what we do is we discover, I've been calling it in the blog post like eager discovery.
Yeah.
So anytime you render a link, just like you can do like prefetch render and say like, hey, anytime you render this link, go prefetch the loader and its styles and its JS chunk. It's essentially that where the default behavior is to discover eagerly. So anytime you render a capital L link or a capital F form from Remix, we actually like internally, the router sees those, it batches them up and it makes a single call to the server on page render to actually go and patch all those in. So by the time you click, most of the time, because users don't click in the first, 200 milliseconds, they click in a matter of seconds, not milliseconds.
Yeah. Like you're like,
so by the time you click, those should all be patched in.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Sweet. I just had never seen that warning, but I guess I was flying with my clicks.
Yeah, that one, what it probably is too, is that it's when it's on hover, it's like if your mouse just happens to be there, like the minute you just clicked over to blog and you go down, you immediately hover over that link. And that's the kind of thing that can happen in the first, 50 milliseconds of a page rendering.
Totally. Yeah. Not a bug or anything, just saying, hey, this happened. All right, cool. Sweet. Okay. Well, I mean, it looks like it's working. So anything else on this guy?
I don't think so. That's one that we are definitely hoping is almost like an implementation detail. There should be no user facing changes to make there. We found an interesting edge case that we just patched in yesterday's release in 11.2, where if you have, if you have like dynamic params in routes, and then you also have a fully static route that matches like the same thing. So if you had like, slash colon slug or whatever, like a $ slug route, but then you had a more specific like slash about route, and you navigated such that the client knew about your slug route, and then you tried to link to about, the client side router would be like, oh, cool, I know how to match slash about. It matches the $ slug thing, and the param value is the word about. And we wouldn't actually go back to the server and be like, oh, no, there's actually a higher scoring route, a static route for about one instead. So we fixed that up. So I think we're hoping that folks will continue to kick the tires on this a bit and find some of those like edge cases. This one was in because it mattered the order in which you routed to that route. If you went to about and then you went to the slug page, everything was fine. You wouldn't see the bug. So we do just a little bit more aggressive server matching now to make sure that we actually find the highest scoring route for a path.
Nice. That's cool.
But yeah, hopefully there's no user facing stuff here.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Okay, cool. Yeah. Please keep kicking the tires, people, but that's also why we're turning it on. So,
and then you can turn off just for folks who are kind of nervous about network overhead. So there's a little bit more network chatter here. When you render a page, it's going to reach out to the server. It's the opposite behavior of prefetch. So right now we do no prefetching by default, and then you can opt into prefetching with prefetch intent or render. We have a new discover prop on the link and form components.
Oh, is it? It's like
discover.
That's right.
So discover is on by default, Discover render is the default value. As soon as we render that link, we're gonna reach out to the server and patch it in. If you want to turn that off, you opt out of Discover.
Cool.
So you can just do Discover none on your links, and that'll turn it off. And then if you have if the user has their save data preference enabled, that will also opt out by default. So
that's nice.
If that's on, you'll just get the little waterfalls then when you navigate.
Yeah. How do you actually I don't even know how to set
It's
that. Or is that more of a mobile
It's a Chrome preference, not a
Mac is always confusing me, especially with the accessibility stuff. It's like half the time it's a Mac thing. So if I go whatever, it's not worth it enough. But okay, cool.
Yeah, I think it's in DevTools, but I don't know offhand.
That would make sense that you can actually do that in your DevTools.
Do Command Shift P in DevTools and type in data. No, maybe it's not.
Low data. Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Cool. that's more just my lack of skills. Okay, sweet. So yeah, do we want to turn on the V3 flags that I've neglected for so long?
Yeah, these ones should be pretty straightforward. These have been around for a while. They've been stable for a while.
Yeah.
Just looking at them, I don't think you'll have to make any code changes for any of them, but we can kind of briefly step through what they mean.
Okay.
And there's docs on these, so folks can, I think we actually have a dedicated page.
Yeah, as soon as we get stuff into the future, I think it's this one. Yeah. As soon as stuff is good. Yeah. Oh, we even have the unstables there. Yeah. Okay. But they're more just cool.
So yeah, folks can check those out. But at a high level, fetcher persist is fetchers used to automatically unmount, automatically be deleted when the component that initiated them unmounted. And that could be problematic if you had a fetcher that was pending and then you removed that component. So fetcher persist means that fetchers will always persist until they complete their request to the server. That makes it much easier to do some optimistic and pending UI stuff, because you can trigger a request from a fetcher in, say, a modal, and then you can remove the modal component.
Yeah.
And that fetcher request will still be available to you through use fetchers. So you can show your optimistic or pending UI elsewhere outside of that modal.
Yeah. I remember that came up because of the Trellix stuff that Ryan was doing. I don't have it up or whatever. And his demo is he would move stuff or delete stuff. No, I think it was the deleting of the cards, and you had to it would just it just didn't work.
He was essentially he would drag a card from column A to B, and he would do that from a fetcher in the card component in column A. And then as soon as that component unmounted and he rendered the new one in B, you would just lose the optimistic UI part, because it would be oh, that fetcher's gone. And then as soon as that request completed and we revalidated, the card would just pop in column B, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, good old demo-driven development. Sometimes it works. Yeah. Shane asked, when using single fetch and returning a promise, is there a pattern for doing optimistic updates you use? Just suspense, right? Or are we talking about something else?
Yeah, I would. I'm trying to think. So yeah, you would, if you're returning a promise, the request will have succeeded and finished. So there won't be pending or optimistic UI anymore. You probably have to just store off that local state somewhere.
Yeah.
If you don't have access, since you don't have access to it in the pending request anymore while you're waiting on a promise. So yeah, I think I would probably store that into some local state if you needed to do optimistic there while you wait for that promise to resolve.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm excited to play with single fetch more with, it's we already had it with defer, but it's just a lot nicer. That's all kind of, I don't know, together, and you can do the nested promises is super cool.
Yeah. So, I think we're going to see folks come up with some really neat patterns there too.
Yeah. Just given the primitives. It's crazy to me that suspense for data fetching and stuff, or data not reading, whatever they want to call it, was demoed in I think 2018 for the first time, and I still am seeing people not totally know how to use it. Myself just oh yeah. I was even talking to Tim the other day because we were working on a secret project, and he was looking at my code and he's oh, what is suspense? And I was oh, it's this way, you can do this and this and this. And I'm oh man, if my designer doesn't even like know about this pattern or whatever, then
Yeah.
like, yeah, we're never going to use it. So I'm like, oh, I gotta probably educate him a little bit and like figure out how we can
I
use
would
this.
still write in Vue when suspense came out.
Yeah, exactly. Man, that's so funny. Okay, cool. So yep, fetcher persist. I don't think we use a use fetcher. We use one
Yeah, we should probably like theme dark
here.
mode stuff maybe.
It's not even that one. It's this subscribe button.
Oh,
Or
email
wait,
subscription. Yep.
yeah. Which is interesting that we're doing it here. I wonder why we are. Whatever. I don't
Why
know.
we're
Let's get
using a
going.
fetcher?
Yeah.
Just for that, like subscribing is one of the anything that's like an in-page update like that. We don't really need to navigate anywhere. We don't need to like post to our current form.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that
Okay.
I would imagine that's like a fetcher posting off to some like email subscription resource route or something.
Cool. It's interesting that we have this. I have not looked at this code at all. This is a part I don't know well. Why are we this guy? Okay, so then we actually pulled stuff down. Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that's like the only place, but we're not using use fetchers, which is actually the real place where you probably would be using it.
That's where if you have a lot of use fetcher stuff, and I think turning on this flag generally means that you reach for use fetchers more often because
Exactly. Yeah.
it's always going to have those fetchers for you, even if you've unmounted the component. What you used to do to work around this issue is lift the fetcher up.
Yep.
Right? So you would move the fetcher to a parent so that you could unmount that component and the fetcher wouldn't go away.
Oh, that's probably what's going on here.
It might be, yeah. Now you can kind of co-locate those fetchers a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about when they go away.
Nice. Okay, that's cool.
That actually might be exactly why that's wrapped up.
I don't want to spend forever like working on this, but just a little note for myself. To if simplifies this.
Yeah, it's great. This is like, hey, let's find the code.
Yeah.
That we no longer have to write because of.
Yeah. It's always nice when like a flag is more just like, let's just make your life easier. It's not really gonna. Very unlikely it will introduce bugs unless you're maybe just like looping over all your fetchers and had some really specific logic, and now there's going to be new fetchers you didn't expect, and like, but you were potentially doing something weird anyway.
Yeah, if you were relying on a fetcher going away from unmount, then you may have some changes to make to adopt it.
Totally. Okay, cool. All right, sweet. So relative splat path, what is this one?
This one's nuanced. Mostly, I don't think, I'm hoping a ton of remix apps don't have much to do for this. I think this is more React router apps that have been around for a long time are going to have work to do to adopt this one. But essentially the way in which we resolve like a ... relative path from a route was different if you were in a splat route versus any other type of route in an application. And it's that essentially the current location, like where am I right now? So if you're on like, if you're not using splat routes and you're on like, user/profile and you do ... it's going to start at user/profile. So ... is going to take you up to /user. So, / favorites would go up to users and then back down to favorites. If you were in a splat route, the ... didn't start at your current location. It started at like the part before the splat. So if you were at like /user/star, and then the star part of URL, the splat was profile or whatever, ... would actually only look at the user's part, and ... would go up to the root. So you would sort of like unexpectedly go up 2 levels. And folks kind of got used to that and started to rely on that behavior in React Router over time. So when we realized that splat routes were effectively buggy, like this was something that we called a bug because they ... was not resolving from the current location, we actually shipped it as a bug fix when someone filed an issue and said, hey, like if I move this relative routing from a splat route to a dynamic param route or to a static route, it doesn't behave the same way. So we actually shipped it, and immediately it turned out that a lot of folks were relying on that old behavior. So we backed it out, put it behind a flag, just to avoid like shipping one of those breaking bug fixes. So this really just it's a bug fix in more ways than not, and it aligns splat route relative routing with the way it works everywhere else in a React Router app.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, sweet. So yeah, I guess the best way to look for that is just, are we doing much ... / anything?
Yeah, or do we even have splat routes in this site?
Oh, that's actually a better idea. Yes. We have Well, do they have to be defined? Oops, sorry.
Anything
Like,
with just like $1 by itself in the file name.
go away. Let me close some stuff. So we got our routes. I
There you
think
go.
we have
So
this one,
yeah, okay.
and then we do actually have a catch-all,
Yeah.
but this
So
is
essentially,
more.
yeah, if anywhere downstream of those routes we were doing relative routing,
Yeah,
we would have to get that updated.
that makes sense. I
But yeah,
definitely am
you
not.
can maybe
Yeah,
look for like / or
I think that
/
would be the way to do it. So this is all. It's a readmes, and this is imports.
Mhm.
These are also imports.
Yeah, it's tricky. How do you like?
Import? Oh my gosh, why do we? I'm surprised we have so many. The thing is, like, this website is
Yeah.
like never been owned by anyone. It's like Ryan built it, and then Kent and Chance kind of like were.
Yeah, both
Chance was
worked
kind of
on it.
owning it. Kent was like just kind of building like conference stuff on top of
Yeah.
it. And then now I came in and I was like, "Hey, Michael, does anyone like own this?" He's like, "You do now." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. That's what I figured."
There you go. So
This
that's a good example there. That
Yeah,
2 equals. But here,
this goes up, but this is fine because we didn't see any issues with.
well, and also you're inside of Conf 2022 inner Discord. You're
Yeah.
inside of a static route here, so everything's fine there. So yeah,
Oh yeah,
just
that's great.
more
Okay,
often
we
than
would
not,
know just from that. Okay.
you would want to look either in the splat routes, and then where
Mhm.
it gets tricky is any components that get used downstream of that route component.
That makes sense.
So
Cool.
that's a static route.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, we're good. So it's all, and
We're
this
good
is
there.
honestly, that's hilarious. I think we could probably delete this if we're not going to be using it anymore.
That's a little banner we put on, I guess. That's
Yeah,
probably a
because
banner that went on during the 2022 conference to like
yeah,
prime
I think it's like, what is this, like announcing Remix Conf
Yep.
2023? Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to announce it again. So I think we're okay getting rid of that guy. That's awesome. Just the old stuff you find in your drawers. All right. Sweet. All right, now throw abort reason. It's the last one we got.
This one again, probably something that no one has to worry about, but there's a reason, and we didn't do this initially because it wasn't supported, I believe, in Node 16. So it
Mhm.
wasn't until Remix v2 that Node 18 had support for this. But when you an abort controller, anything you pass to that abort call gets proxied through onto the abort signal in this .reason field. So we do abort requests in our Express adapter. We don't actually pass anything to them, but someone pointed out over in if you're doing like manual SSR with React Router and you're not using Remix, you are then in control of essentially what our Express adapter does, and
Got
you're
it.
in control of aborting those. So if you aborted that controller on the server and handed it an error, we wouldn't proxy that through to the actual error handler. We had sort of a generic error that said like, query call aborted for URL, whatever. So
Got
this
it.
now we will pass through anything you send in that reason field. So this is more for like if you're doing React Router SSR on your own without using Remix, this is something you'd look into. But Remix doesn't pass anything specific to this.
Cool.
So I think now when you turn this on, instead of getting query call aborted, I think you just get a standard DOM exception, which
Cool.
is what the browsers would do for any aborted call.
Sweet.
So
Okay, good deal.
this would just be if you're doing anything specific in your like handle error function in entry server to look for aborted requests. Most of the time we recommend don't log aborted requests because they're expected and they're commonplace. So if you look at our like default entry servers, which we probably don't have.
Can I just do like remix?
Yeah, just do
reveal.
remix reveal entry.server. Or yeah, that'll just
I'll just get them both. Okay, cool.
And this actually doesn't even. If you want to see the default implementation, you actually have to go over to the Remix repo.
Okay, let me see if I can pull that up. Might have to.
But the default implementation of handling errors on our end doesn't bother logging aborted requests just because they're very expected and normal.
Is it? Oh man, where would it be?
That's fine. Entry server node is good there. Second one down. Oh no, wait. These are the. Yeah, no, you need to go to server.ts in Remix server runtime. You actually want to get to the default. If you don't have one in your entry server,
This one.
Look for handle error in here.
There we go.
Yeah. So you see the,
Oops, sorry.
essentially we take whatever, no, where were you before?
Not the O. Back here?
There you go.
Okay.
So we basically, it's if you have one, that build.entry, that's your server entry. So if you have one, we use that. If you don't, the default here doesn't log anything in test mode. So when we're running tests on the Remix repo, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
But that request not aborted. So if you have your own handle error and you are not skipping aborted requests, turning that flag on would potentially change the error value that you get.
Got it. That makes sense.
Request error.
Okay, cool. So not something we have to worry about.
No, not in this one.
All right.
If you don't have a handle error, you can just turn that flag on and never think about it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. So we upgraded everything. We added all the flags. We removed a line here, apparently.
Yep.
We deleted that. And I'll have to note for myself. All right. We good?
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet. All right. I'm just going to push to main. The only way we know how to do it. All right, cool. Should probably look at these vulnerabilities eventually.
They're almost always from like build time dev that aren't actually production vulnerabilities.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great idea in theory to like automatically warn, but it has a long way to go to be useful.
So much noise. Yeah. All right. React router now. So let me get this running.
What version is this on? Has this been updated recently?
Great question.
2.8.
Where are we? Oh yeah, 2.8. That's not terrible.
Not awful. No, I was expecting worse.
Yeah. Move to Remix V. Yep, that would be the last time we did it.
Okay.
I'm surprised. I thought you were the one who did this.
Huh. I don't know. No,
why did I do this?
On it together.
Maybe. I'm curious. What's the last thing you did? You updated Node 18. Upgraded V2. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Very cool. That actually does make me wonder. Okay, good. We are on Node 20.
Cool.
Sweet. So do we have install globals? Okay, we have install globals on.
That can go away.
So that can go away now.
Yeah, did we take that out in the Remix site?
We didn't check, but I think it is gone.
Yeah, I think if we're using single fetch, we would have had to.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a good point. Yeah. I need to actually, this is a really good reminder. I need to update this doc. It's not a future flag, but it is like a thing you should do, I guess. Well, maybe it's already implicit in the single fetch, but like the Undici kind of upgrade sort of thing.
Yeah. If you're on Node 20.
Yeah, it should maybe be called out of just like.
Yeah, there's probably
Node 20 or turn this thing on. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that should, I wonder if future flags should be like a subheading in a larger doc of like preparing for the next.
Yeah.
Right.
What do we call it on React Router? Because I copied this from. Yeah, it's probably this guy, isn't? No. Where is it?
Well, I remember when we did. We had in Remix V1 when we were prepping for Remix V2, we just had an upgrading to V2.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
And that part of that doc was all the future flags, but it also has stuff you're talking about here of like, it's not a future flag, but maybe we're raising a minimum version or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have lots of opportunity obviously to change names and stuff, but right now, yeah, it looks like they're both just called current future flags.
Cool. Okay, yeah, I'm sure we'll definitely have an upgrading to React Router V7 doc pretty soon.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. Can you confirm the date? No, I'm just kidding. All 8 people watching will be really excited and disappointed. All right. Okay. So I'm on the wrong thing. So we can delete install globals because we're on Node 20. And the only thing it's really adding is the fetch API. So it actually was overriding the old fetch API. So now we'll be using the real fetch API. So, oh man, so we need to look for, what was the memory leak that I ran?
It was anything where you weren't consuming a fetch body. Right?
Yes. I don't even know if we ever call fetch here. So this is
cache. So
it's an LRU
repo
cache. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it looks like repo content and health check there.
Okay. Wow, you were so much faster at finding things than I am. Okay, so response. So if
Yeah,
it's okay, if it's not okay, we return null.
that should be fine, right?
Otherwise, we return the text. So it's like if you're getting the body, and then what, you just like don't do anything
I
with
think
it.
it's just if you never called like await response.txt or response.json. If you never called one of those, it would never actually consume the stream.
Got it. So
And that was the memory leak.
Is this not a problem?
I don't remember the specifics enough to know, because if it's not okay, I don't think it's going to have a response body, because not okay means like I never even got to the server. That doesn't mean like I got a 500 or a 404 and maybe there's a body. So I think that's fine.
That's what I was thinking too. I know where it was. Yeah, it was in here. Yeah, it was because, okay, actually it was, I wasn't doing, I just didn't realize, oh, you can just do method head if you're trying to get something like, I was trying to figure out if this link would redirect because I'm using like GitHub links or whatever. So before I was doing not method head, so that was the first problem. Then the second was I just pulled off the redirected and then threw it away. So yeah, it was a good request. So I think you're totally right that like this
I think that one looks fine because you are calling response text.
Yeah. I guess, I don't know, TypeScript didn't tell it, but I think that's fine. Yeah, I think you're right. If it's not, I'm going to know very soon and we'll fix it. The good thing is like Fly was actually pretty good about fixing itself. Like it just restarted or whatever. So we didn't really hear of problems. It was more that Ryan eventually was like, hey, I'm getting emails that we have a memory leak.
The benefits of infrastructure as a service, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. They'll just like auto reset the machine for me.
Yep.
Exactly. Was health check the other one there that you were doing?
Sorry.
Is that the one you were just in?
This guy, right?
Oh, no. Okay. No, stats has.
Wait. Sorry.
Right, that's calling res JSON, so you're good there.
Okay, cool. Jeez, what are we doing here?
This is
we don't even
counting npm downloads from npm.
This is old code. I should probably delete some of this stuff, but that's fine. Okay,
we put that in like right before we hit like 1 billion all-time downloads.
That's amazing. Yeah,
and that was like the counter was at like 999 million.
That's awesome. Let's see if I can reconstruct this for the sake of fun. What would the year be?
I think that's why it's a big loop. Is it had to actually?
Oh, you actually have to go. Oh gosh. Okay,
I think you had to query React a couple of times to get them all. You couldn't just you can't just ask npm like tell me the entire thing.
That's crazy. So yeah, this was the default.
Oh yeah, if it fails, just give it the value we calculated as of a certain date.
Awesome.
So, we're not lying. We're just underreporting.
No, we're just we're underrepresenting. Yeah. That's awesome. No, just like 1 billion. Baze said on the chat, I worry that even you joke about the release date of React Router 7.
Nobody knows when anything's going to be released.
Yeah, exactly.
We're close.
No, it is coming along. Things are good. There's just no reason us being excited before it's actually there, because there's going to be lots of room to be excited once it's actually here. But yeah, just to clarify, in case anyone's on and doesn't realize, the release pattern is going to be we'll release an alpha as soon as we're able to, so that anyone can play with it and work with it and tell us all the bugs and everything. So as soon as we're able to release an alpha, that will be released, and then we will have to spend some time actually like making that bridge, making code mods and really good documentation and just everything, so that that upgrade path is super easy. So it depends what you're talking about, but yeah, React Router 7 is probably pretty close. Alpha React Router 7, requires us to make that path really good. So
I think the big thing is like we don't want to ship an alpha that's not in our eyes feature complete.
Yeah.
Right. Like we don't want to ship an alpha and be like, but don't worry, like this awesome new feature X is going to then be available for the stable, right? Like if the feature is not ready yet, then we're not ready for an alpha. The alpha should be, for all intents and purposes, like almost considered like an RC.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't do a release candidate till we have everything done. So like we're honing up the types. So the type story is really good. we're still like, even in, 2.11, we're still fixing bugs in Fog of War. In 2.11, we changed the response stub API. So like, as people are testing these remaining unstable features, we are still like actively iterating on those. So we need to make sure that we're feeling really comfortable with those so that we can stabilize them before and fix up the type story and all that other good stuff before we can feel comfortable with an alpha.
I think pages work somewhere else, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we are getting very close, especially with these last two, like stabilize or getting rid of response stub, gets single fetch, I think, to a really good spot. And then the most recent edge case bug we were talking about with like the scoring routes for lazy route discovery, I think that gets that feature to a really good spot. So hopefully we'll still see some folks using them and letting us know if they find stuff.
Sweet. Good plan. All right, cool. Man, I saw an error for like 2 seconds, and I'm hoping that was isolated. I'm going to pull up this really quick just to make sure everything's good. I don't think there's any secrets in here. If there are, please nobody take down our website. Everything looks pretty good there. Our memory went down. I should probably bump the memory again. We're getting pretty close to that groove, but it looks like it's fine. How do let me actually get this out to like make sure it's not climbing like crazy. There's a little bit of a climb,
a little bit,
but it's not that much. I think it's honestly a big part of it is, sorry, distractions everywhere. It's Twitter. Here we go. These images, I think, is the problem. So the more these are generated and shared, these are like generated on the fly, and then they're heavily cached. But it's a pretty memory intensive runtime thing that runs it called Satori, which is a really cool library. Satori, everyone naming their things after existing things. So it's a super cool library from Vite, and this is how they like generate their OG images. But it's all runtime, and so I think it is relatively memory consumptive. So anyway, tangent. So I think we're good on that, and it looks like everything got deployed. So I think we're gonna be okay. I'm on the wrong one now.
Cool. We didn't break anything.
Didn't break anything. Please tell us if we did, though. Okay, cool. So back to what we were doing. Just close all this stuff. We have too much stuff open. All right.
How many tabs do you have open at any given time?
It really depends on what I'm doing. I really do try to like pretty regularly delete like close stuff when I'm done with it, or if I'm like I really am working on stuff, I'll try to do this. But yeah, I probably average about 10, I would say, and like my throughout the day, maybe a little more, and then it depends if I have like, like right now I've got some stuff on the side open, obviously, because we're streaming and I've got stuff on. But yeah, what about you? Are you
if I hit 10 or more, I like freak out.
Yeah.
There's too many. I can't it needs to be like a very manageable number.
That's awesome. All right. So what should we turn on first?
Let's do a stable one.
We should upgrade everything. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oh yeah, we should.
NPX upgrade remix. All right. So remind me how this thing works. It just like goes through.
Basically, it's not anywhere near as smart as it might seem. It literally just like it reads your package JSON as a JSON blob.
Okay.
Looks through dependencies and dev dependencies, finds anything that starts with @remix run, except like remix run router. That's versioned separately. Like the remix run v1 route convention. There's like 2 or 3 edge cases that are not part of it, but it just takes all of them and just manually it puts together like the npm install command to do them all to latest or whatever version you specify.
Got it. So it looks like you do these ones first and then you do the dev dependencies.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That matters. And then I do, because I don't I don't think this is necessary to run like a full npm CI after that.
That's so funny.
But I've had like over the many years of doing web dev and the evolution of package managers, like I've had way too many times where like I did some updates and things get out of sync. So I've gotten in the habit of just always doing like npm CIs or
it's so annoying. Yeah,
like that after.
Man, when I was like very early and just kept running into things, it's like every time I would commit, I would just delete this thing and then restart. And so then I moved to HEB. I was so used to doing that because I was so tired of it. And I moved to HEB and I was like doing that because I was doing some crazy updates for
Yeah.
like this like internal tool that never got used. And I was like, I had like nothing to do. So I was like, I'm gonna go update everything in this. And I kept on like blowing it away. And finally, like a staff engineer was like, we should not be blowing that away every time.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something wrong. Get better at programming,
They,
basically.
well, I mean, in
It's
your
like that.
defense, like the package managers have gotten significantly better from like, from npm v, 2 to now. Like you used to have to do that because things
Mhm.
would just get completely out of whack if you
Yep.
didn't do upgrades like in just the right order.
Yep. It's true. I just run into a couple things. Did you try Arc browser, Brooks? I haven't. I've tried Arc one time. I keep meaning to check it out more. I don't know. I'm such a Luddite. Like I'm a terrible tech person. I actually really don't like trying new things. I'm like the worst person to ask about, am I doing new things? Like literally my terminal, it changes themes every time I open it. It'll do a new random theme because I like genuinely don't want to care about this stuff. So it like forces me to
Really?
not even care about it. Yeah. There it goes. It's let it. Yeah. I'm pretty
That's
sure all the
funny.
themes I'm using here are all that's not it. Are all the defaults. Man, where is it? It's like, yeah, color thing. Yeah. I just use like defaults for everything. I just like, so even like Arc browser, I'm just like, that's just going to be something else that people are going to be like, what are you using? Is it cool? And I'm sure it's way better. I'm sure it is. I just like, I
I'm
just
with
like
you. I
intentionally
try
try
to
not
do
to care.
minimal
Yeah.
customizations too.
I did. Yeah. I did actually use it. There are some cool things about it, but again, like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm going to have to spend a day or two, like wanting to use it. And then
Mhm.
that's me wanting to do something that I don't actually want to do. I don't know.
It's also one of those like I don't know. I found from time to time like I go between like my personal laptop and my Shopify
Yeah.
laptop. Or every once in a while,
Yep.
I'm like,
Oh yeah.
back in like the in office days, like someone you'd be like pairing with someone and they'd be like, oh well, like can like they're like, oh, just let me type for a little bit, and then everything's
Yeah.
out of whack. I'm just like, I
Yeah,
just want to be able
exactly.
to like install VS Code and work
Yeah,
in it, like without having to go set up 9 million customizations.
exactly. That's why none of us compare with Pedro because he's got his Neovim setup.
Vim stuff.
I don't know if he's still on, but I hope he is. um, thanks, Alexandre, for the compliment on my haircut. It was overdue. All right, I think everything's working with just like the basic upgrades, which it should. They're
That
all
is the
minors.
goal.
So, yay. This website is so much simpler, which is good.
Yeah, because it doesn't have
There's
blog
not
and
like,
showcases
yeah,
in the fancy homepage, right?
exactly. Yeah, we
It's
got
about to get even simpler too once we ship V7. Get all of our like auto-generated stuff
It's gonna
on.
be so nice. Yeah. I think that's not like a secret. Yeah, you can actually see it. Let me go to React router website. There it is. So something cool Jacob's been working on, if you're into this kind of stuff, is like auto generating JS docs. Basically, I don't have this pulled up. Here's a video of it, of me showing a bug, so you can kind of see. But it's basically like auto generating all these all our types. And all the just like the interfaces and the what's the word I'm looking for? The like function declarations, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just all the API reference doc
Thank
stuff.
you. Yeah. So all the references will be here, and then we're going to make a much more concerted effort to actually like put in the like JS docs and like all the documentation in there, which is actually better because then it means when you're in your code editor and you're hovering over something, you get really great documentation for it. On top of it, being in the website. So
The closer
super
your
cool.
docs are to your code, the more likely you are to keep them up to date.
Yep. It's and who would have thunk? Yeah, so that'll be super nice in general, and also it'll mean that like everything we have here is going to get a lot simpler too. Like we can keep this a lot more streamlined to just being more
Mhm.
like tutorials, guides, like stuff that you need to actually like learn Remix, and then when you're like, I know how to use Remix and React Router or whatever, then you can just go to the API and like look
Yeah.
up the specific things you need, or just peruse and be like, what the hell is use fetchers, and then go see what it is.
Mhm.
So it'll be good. Okay, lots of distractions. What are we doing? What do we want to do first? I should say.
Let's do the V3s because those are
Those are easy.
stable.
Yep.
So they should, same thing.
Abort
Like,
reason.
yeah,
We
that
shouldn't
one
have. I
should
don't
have
even
no
think we have.
changes.
Yeah.
Rel
we don't have, okay.
splat, and then fetch or persist also I would should have no
yeah.
changes. How many fetchers do we even have in this site?
We shouldn't even have
0.
a single one. Yeah. I think
Awesome.
our theme thing is, well, there's the action. It's a little script. How do we actually like change it though? I guess.
Is that in the header or something?
Yeah, that's a good place to look. Oh my gosh. How does this website even work? Oh my gosh. How? Okay, so that's the head. That's not what I want. Here's the body. Where's the out? Okay. Is it just on the index? Let me look at the route. Sorry, I'm doing this the worst way possible. So we got routes, we got our index, which redirects to main. This is our catch-all, so that's not going to be it either. It's going to be probably this guy, maybe. Docs layout, that seems maybe promising.
There you go. There's a header component.
Okay. So where is that? Okay, that's just declared in here. That's why I couldn't find it. Brand, that makes sense. Okay, here we go. Color scheme toggle.
Oh, it's a form.
Okay. There we go. Just a form.
Yep.
And it goes to the color. Perfect. Okay. Sweet. Yep. All right. So we're good there. And then the other V3. Oh, okay, Shane. It does auto tab closing. That's pretty cool. Sorry. Full circle in the art conversation. Okay, so we should see, are there any routes with a splat? And there are two
for docs.
Yeah, but this guy doesn't have any link.
I would search for like, you can do the / slash because it looks like we're using tildes in here more often.
Okay.
But yeah,
potentially.
And we do still have a number of imports.
This is a test. Well, I'm actually surprised we have a test.
Those look like all import stuff.
Boom.
So I think you're probably fine there.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just deploy this one out so we have a nice like revert for the unstable stuff.
Yeah, cool.
No, yeah, 3.
3.
I like that we're just committed to that. We have to.
V3 flags will turn on in V7.
Yeah, we're gonna need like what is it, 33 eventually. 48. No, it's 78. It's 33, 45, and 78. I think those are all the. Anyway, we'll see if someone ever figures out what we're talking about there. All right. All right, what do you want to do? Lazy route discovery first?
Single fetch first. Just
single fetch.
The order we shipped them. Why not?
That's fair. All right, so I've already removed the install globals. So if you were on a previous version, like on Node 18, you would need to turn on native fetch for this to work. Why do we need the Indici fetch? Is it's just built on that?
No, it's like our polyfill wasn't the headers implementation in the Remix run web fetch. Polyfill wasn't fully spec compliant. We copied it from, we forked web fetch a while back. And then, because I think that, like, I think the repo had like gone stale or something or other, but early days of Remix v1, or maybe even sooner, we forked this into our own version.
This seems wrong. Yeah.
But then we realized that, like, yeah, that's not, I don't think that's the right one.
It's not web fetch.
Wherever we forked a package that was trying to do a spec compliant, but it was pretty good in most of cases. But the headers implementation used to, it was a subclass of URL search params, which was like a they're really similar APIs, but they're not the same. And that was like, I think a really easy way for whoever authored it to get like a working headers implementation. But it was just flat out wrong in a number of ways. So like it didn't, it worked most of the time because just like search params and headers, you can go through the keys and the values and the entries and it has get and set and all that stuff. As soon as header kept evolving, so namely like get set cookie was a new API that got added to headers. Like our implementation of headers started to get out of date, wasn't spec compliant. So I think that's specifically get set cookie, I think is the one API that single fetch is using internally.
Okay.
So it can't run on the Remix polyfill. So you have to either do the native fetch flag to use Undici under the hood if you're on node 18. But if you're on node 20, you're better off just deleting install globals altogether.
Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, cool. Good reason. Also, it's nice that we are like actually building on the web. I guess that's Node, but still, like, yeah,
use the platform, right?
Use the platform. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, Node's a platform. At this point, it's pretty much. Okay, so far nothing is wrong, but obviously for this one, we need to pull up the network tab, which is hidden. All right. So we pull it. You actually don't see anything on the initial load, right?
Yep. Yeah, you can. You'd see stuff if you poked around in the like document request. The initial, like the data we stream up is in a different format in the HTML document, but yeah, just in the data request, so everything looks good.
Why are these two? Remind me again. Oops, I'm sorry. This one I can't see a preview on. Is that it's because it's like a prefetch? Is that what's going on here?
Maybe. So yeah, we have prefetch turned on in these links.
Yeah,
it's that, or if it didn't actually, like if the prefetch, if we did the initial one or the actual real one where the prefetch completes.
Okay, so there, I've hovered over it. It has completed, but there's nothing to preview.
Okay, so maybe it is because it's a prefetch.
Gotcha. I've always wondered that. I assume that's what it is, because then I'll actually click it and it'll
put a request header on. Scroll down to the bottom of the request headers on that first one.
Where are we? Yeah.
There's like an X something down at the bottom. Fetch. No, maybe not fetch. I was thinking there was like a fetch mode prefetch or something or other.
I wonder if this one has. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it doesn't show you the preview there.
Got it. Yeah. Always curious about that, but the type is different. Maybe that's why, because it's whatever this thing is, text X turbo. That like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's our own. We send back a content type on it, but that shouldn't prevent it from showing just like it's just ASCII characters.
You would think. Yeah. No, there's like no response on it either. Anyway, all good. I was mostly just curious. Also curious if I don't have that on and I hover over and then I click one. Okay, yeah, so it uses the prefetch already.
Then you get the cache.
Cool. Okay, sweet. So that seems like it's working, right?
Yeah,
all right. Cool. And we didn't have it turned on, so we don't have to look for response dot because there would be none. There's just obviously this guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. All right. Easy peasy.
Easy enough. Yeah.
And then this one's not even going. I don't think this is going to do anything, honestly. Sorry, I should get.
Oh, yeah. See what we have beforehand.
Yeah. Oh, what was it was like object.keys. Here we go. Nope. Okay, so turn it off again. I'll reset this just to make sure. And I'll go to the home page. Oops. Oh yeah, it started, huh? Oh.
Yeah.
All right. 9. That's with it off. We turn it on. 8. Woo! Save that one.
I'm curious what the one we're saving is.
I am curious as well.
Might be a resource route or something if we have.
Oh, I know what it is.
And what's interesting though is that so because of the prefetching, you're getting like what's in the initial document here is only going to be root and like anything required for en main, but then you're seeing like color scheme and stuff in there. That's because those are rendered as links in the initial page. So on the initial page render, we turn around and go back and make a manifest request to get the places we might click to next.
Gotcha.
So you're getting 8, but if you were to run that fast enough on initial load, it would likely be
less,
3 or 4.
3. Yeah. I'm trying to compare what's different. Yeah, it looks like it's health check.
So there's no UI routes to health check, so that's kind of thing that we never need to prefetch because the user's not going to click to that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, cool. Not that there's a whole lot that's loaded or like that's not much data.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is an optimization that most of the applications out there don't actually need. But it is just like, it's better for larger apps, and it gives you that, like, you can scale as large as you need without worrying about your app slowing down.
Makes sense. Oops. Oh, I don't even get it on this because we're not.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a resource.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's probably for Fly to hit.
Yeah, yeah, totally is. Okay, cool. Well, that was easy.
Yeah, I'm glad those were smooth.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, right? It's a pretty simple website, to be honest. There's not a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I guess let's push that. Turn on unstable flags. Shane said that's dope. That was a while ago. I assume that was about the API docs. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
Sorry, I'm terrible at this. All right, actions. What is this no response thing? I feel like we've looked at this before.
It comments on stale PRs and issues.
Okay, cool.
The needs response label.
That's nice. I don't know if we. No, that's fine. I went through recently and was looking at like old issues. There were some like really old ones that I had not closed in a while. It was like, oh yeah, there's like one where someone was like, why are you doing this? You could just return contacts. And I was like, oh hey, they actually like saw it. That's great. And I was like, I felt really bad. Oh, this one was only June, but still, I was just like, this is not where that goes, but that's fine. Thank you for asking a question.
Code preference.
Yeah, exactly. Code preference. Oh man, what was the other one? There was something that was like, I can look at my pull request while this is deploying. Oh yeah, someone was like, hey, you have a security issue.
The worst.
Do what? Oh yeah.
It's like, I mean, that's an invalid URL.
It is, yeah. But so this guy was like, hey, I don't know if this is a problem, but basically, like before, if you would do this, what it would do is we would redirect and go to google.com. So it's like, someone could send like reactrouter.com/my scammy website, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So it was legit. I appreciated it.
That's different. Okay. Yeah, we get a bunch, and it's like, oh, React Router doesn't handle it when my like URL has 4 slashes between segments.
Yeah.
Like,
that's invalid URL.
Like, somewhere there's a link that has those slashes. Like, you should fix that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, you are constructing
the framework to handle every possible type of invalid URL.
Yeah,
but yeah, I feel like we get enough reports of that stuff, and we eventually try to make the thing that, okay, here's another common bad URL. Let's see if we can deal with that.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, you have control over this stuff, and yeah, if you're constructing URLs in ridiculous ways, then you should handle that. But also, like, you should just expect that you should also handle well, like, situations where people are going to give you crazy routes, because that happens.
Yeah.
Stuff malforms things. Lots of things add on like crazy query params for GTM tracking and everything.
Yeah.
So. All right. Did it finish? Where am I? Not that one. Well, I guess this works too. Cool. So that should be good. Go to flag monitoring. Come on, you can do it, little bar. Hey, I'm surprised your internet's held up.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that. Hopefully it'll stay that way the rest of the day.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't have called it out. I'm so sorry.
No. We'll say it's been. I thought about it like halfway through here, and I was like, oh, it hasn't dropped yet. That's a good sign.
Yeah, it is a good sign. Okay, cool. Looks like we had both those deploys so far working. Where's the one that's actually like, this is what I want, the status codes. So we always get, we get a bunch of 200s like when we deploy, which is good. A few redirects, a random. Oh, the 4.4 was actually me. That's awesome. All right, everything.
All right,
great.
Both running the latest and greatest now.
Yep.
Awesome.
There you go. It's official.
There you go. It's not official till it's tweeted, right?
Yep. That's so true. Oh yeah. Okay, I did get it right. Let's look at good. I guess I'll just do the little golf flag again. I was like looking for flags and I was like, well, these are all like country flags and there's the checkered flag.
There it is. Second row.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Cool. All right.
Awesome.
We did it.
Nice. Very little hiccups. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that went pretty well. Thanks for walking through all that. It's nice to have it like reviewed as we go. So
no, it's good to see from the other side too, right? Like I obviously like we do our like testing internally as we develop this stuff, but like our, you know, the little demo apps and stuff that I'm like, oh, let me go turn single fetch on in my like curated little app that's specifically trying to test certain edge cases that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
It's really nice to like watch as like someone who's not so like deep into that and turn it on an actual live site. Cause that's where you find the little like, oh yeah, like we didn't, that's a use case that didn't come up in our unit test outlining.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it'll be nice when I finish the other project I'm working on. That'll be a much more real use case as well. So I'm super excited about that too, because it'll be more involved.
On Shopify.com too for a while. So we're getting some good dog fooding there.
Yeah, I'm that is super cool. I did think it was funny. Yeah, someone was like, wow, they're running like unstable code on Shopify.com. It's like every code you commit is unstable. Like, I'm sorry, it just is. Like until it's been used and you can like say it's stable, like every commit is unstable. So
unstable in our eyes, unstable does not mean like bug ridden. Unstable means like we're not 100% sure this API is going to stay exactly the same, but like we don't ship it unstable if we're like, if there are known bugs. Like
we don't intentionally ship bugs to you. Exactly. Because you guys are good at your jobs. So.
Yeah, I think we would have called the flag broken if that was the case.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, here, you can opt into broken underscore something.
No, that's what a fork is for.
No, unstable should be like, you know, maybe don't ship it to production because it might have bugs, but not necessarily any more than like other features. But we may change it and that may block you from doing an upgrade. So putting it on your production, like as a blocker to deploying is probably not smart. But we love the early adopters and the feedback, right? That's what helps us feel confident stabilizing it.
Exactly. And something like, you know, the routes manifest one, like Shopify.com was a good use case where they could do that and test it out pretty easily and know whether or not it is broken or not. So it's all good. Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Matt.
Awesome. Yeah, this was fun. Do it again sometime soon.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah. All right.